And we're live. Hi, everybody. It's noon on Saturday. You know what that means? It means we're going to draw together. And today it's going to be all about Procreate. As you know, we are starting 30 Faces 30 Days on July 1st. Oop, let me pause my sound here. Okay, here I am. All right, and here you are. I see that a lot of you are already here too. Oh, I didn't mean to get a phone call right now, but I'm gonna have to cancel that for now. My dad calling from France. So yeah, we are together for about an hour. Our muse today, right here, Lewis. I chose this muse because, as you can see, it's full of contrast. It's got a goofy, facial expression, so it's everything I love. And I've got my iPad open, Procreate open to a just rectangular canvas. I hope you guys can do the same. But for those of you who don't want to draw on Procreate today, don't feel any pressure. Just like the 30 Faces 30 Days Procreate edition, this is also a class that you should feel free being able to follow on traditional media like paper, pen, etc. And talking of paper and pen, I think I am going to draw because this is the kind of decision that I usually make at the last minute. I think I'm going to draw Lewis with a pen tool today. And the pen tool I'm going to pick is okay, let's go to, I believe it's under inking. Yes, it is under inking. So let me go to the actual, the right the right thing. So under inking and Procreate, you've got a whole bunch of inks, right? Some of them are just as amazing as the other. And there's one called ink bleed. But there are two ink bleeds. There is one here that seems to be a little more, let me see if I'm getting this right. Here's one. And the second ink bleed that I have here is like this. So you see very different feels. And I don't know why, honestly, I have these two. Um, but the one that I have in my favorites, let's see, seems to be a little fuzzy too. Oh, but it seems to be the thinner one. Okay, so I have one in my favorites that's thin, but if I go back to inking, I'm also seeing one called Ink Bleed that seems to have a much thicker and also much more textured line. Okay, so can you find this in your brushes, guys? Let's take a look. I really like this thicker one. I wasn't sure that this was a possibility, but I think this could work. And plus, yeah, I think I'm gonna use the ink bleed that sits between gel pen and studio pen, and it's got a lot more, of a paper-like stroke. Take a look at that. You see? I like it. And I like how broad it gets when you put a little bit of pressure on your Apple Pencil. So should we go with that? Or is there only one for everybody? I don't know why I have two. I really don't know. There's certainly not one that I created because I don't do that. So I've never touched the ink bleed before. All right, I'm gonna use the one that I have here, guys, and I'm gonna set it on a fairly thin brush size. What I want to do is try to convey this face and try to do it within an hour. Okay. And I'm glad, Andy, from the UK, that you are actually going to use a Bic on the table. So you're going to use this. All right, cool. That's great. Okay, Rick, you're here. Hi, Rick. I'm so glad, Rick, that you always like say hi. You show up. You're here. It's great. I hope you're feeling well. I saw that your Instagram is full of really cool pictures again. I'm really happy to see that. Ah, that makes me happy. All right, everyone. So, can you all see my canvas okay? I hopefully the camera will follow along. You know that sometimes it tries to readjust and it's not actually ideal. All right, let me see if I can. Okay, all right. This should be good, everyone. I'm gonna start, and if you want, if you have any questions towards the end, like when it gets to be 1 o'clock my time, 1 p.m., If you want me to pause and answer some questions, I would love to do that. So don't hesitate to, leave your questions for the end. I can spend a few minutes and answer. So, all right. I noticed that a lot of you are here. Margaret, hi. It's good to see you. Excellent. Okay. Let me see if I've got the right. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I'm in the right stream aspect. Okay, it seemed to me as though my video was not the same size as usual. Sharon, I am using a stylus called the Apple Pencil. This is the one and only Apple Pencil. This is the second generation, but there's also the first generation one. They're just as great as the other. So yeah. Okay. I'm looking forward to 30 days starting as well. Okay, everyone. So I'm gonna start this again very, roughly. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not gonna worry too much about getting this right away because I'm going super loosely, hoping to get proportions somewhat right. Okay, it's gonna be an eyebrow here, an eyebrow there. There's going to be a nose somewhere here. The noses, guys, are always shorter than we think. When we draw them, we always want to leave a lot of space for noses, but they don't take up that much space at all. At all. It's crazy what you realize once you start drawing a little often. Okay, yeah. Let me see if I'm getting this right. This is super sketchy right now, right? Okay. I hope those of you who really love drawing on the iPad have already signed up for 30 Faces, 30 Days for July, starting on July 1st. Yes, Cynthia, I did say it's the ink bleed, and thank you, Anne, for being on top of it. Anne has already answered. It is the ink bleed brush. I'm going to leave the answer right up on the screen for a few minutes, so you guys, if you guys roll in a little late, you know what we're doing, okay? So starting very thinly, did you notice that my lines are extremely thin on the screen? That's because I'm set at, let's see, 11% width on this brush, which means, leaves room for, obviously a lot of lines intersecting and so forth, and it's not a tragedy. Okay, we've got one chin here. Boom, boom. And yeah, look at that. This is so much fun. It was so fascinating the other day to watch Lisa Filion, doing her thing and see how differently she tackles the process of doing a portrait. She's all about color and this color explosion. She experiments as she draws, and I feel as though my world is very much monochromatic. It's just one color, and it's all about the lines. It's just such a different approach. It was fascinating to watch. I believe it was on Wednesday, right? That Lisa did her live. Yeah, I did learn a thing or two from watching someone else do their thing. And same with, if you've watched Dylan, right? I see that Dylan is here today. Dylan do his thing with all the creative ink, the creative ways that he gets ink from nature. What a lesson it is to sit down and see it happen, and how different it is from my comfort zone. It's pretty wild. And talking of comfort zone, there's not a whole lot of it happening so far in my 30 Faces 30 Day contribution because I'm all about getting out of my comfort zone. I've already drawn a baby, which is really not my thing. Um, and well, I can't tell you everything about it, but I definitely am challenging myself with Procreate during this 30 Faces 30 Days business. Because I can't ask you to grow, you know, as a teacher and not push myself to do the same thing. That wouldn't be fair. So okay, maybe I'm not crazy about this eye here. Maybe I'll retouch it later. I'm not sure, but I think I've got the basics of Louis's face. Don't you think, guys? How about you? Are you also starting very thin? Okay. And I love the fact that you guys are giving Procreate a try. And those of you who don't really like it yet, don't worry about it. This is still drawing, right? Absolutely. Okay. Yep. Okay, let me see where the shadows are going to be. There's going to be one big one here going this way. There's a little bit of frowning happening here. Did you notice? Right there. And here too. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but I'll get to it. Okay. I think I've got the basics down roughly. There's a t-shirt color here, neck, t-shirt color, boom. You know, I really think the best drawings come from the goofiest expressions from our muses. I'm convinced of that. People who post some of the most insane expressions, you know, obviously Rick is the greatest example of that. But this is where I learned the most. It's not about conveying, you know, perfect beauty or anything like that, but just trying to work with wrinkles and all kinds of imperfections that make a face so beautiful in my mind. Okay, so um, let's see. Okay, Andy is just enjoying watching. That's cool. All right, all right, all right. Nikira, you're starting with thicker lines. That's cool. Yeah, that's fine. I am going to. Okay, let's see if I'm noticing that my Lewis is a little bit. This might be a little better here. Okay, let me use the in bleed. Now I'm going to use a little bit of eraser here. Let me make this wide. I'm not a big fan of what I did here. Something like that. Okay, ear. Love drawing ears. And right now I'm still going very thinly, but why don't I start upping the width? I'm gonna go 36% width. And I'm still, oh my gosh, my Mac is really heating up. It's crazy. Um, I'm upping the width of my brush so that I can take, you know, the liberty to make broader lines where necessary. Okay. I'm not saying you need to do exactly what I'm doing, but that it helps me go a little faster in some places. Actually, this may be a little too wide. Actually, 25%. How about let's try 25%? This could work. Yep. Because you see, once you up the width a little bit, then you can really start having some speed drawing happening. Um, Talking of which, you know, my lessons in 30 Faces, 30 Days in Procreate are very much about exactly this, like juggling between a small width and a bigger one, and just using one brush the whole way, you know, and one layer, but definitely just monkeying with the width just to make it almost like a different brush, because that's how great those tools are, you know. All right, so now I'm gonna go dark. What is okay, cool. What are you saying, Chris? My favorite part of drawing in Procreate is getting to use an eraser as an active drawing tool. So true. This is one of the things I love also about the eraser in Procreate, is that you can take away as much as part of the process as you do when you add. So yeah. Gosh, I love his expression. I really wanted to do a like a special LGBTQ portrait today because it's the month of June, and we are, kind of reaching the end now of Pride Month, and I didn't quite find the inspiration photo that really grabbed me for today. So I kind of struggled with that because I really wanted to do something um, that would be relevant to the LGBTQ community, and didn't really materialize. And that really, it really makes me ask people, put a lot of photos of you on Sketchy, because when we get one or two, sometimes I don't know, sometimes it's just not enough to find the inspiration. That's how I feel. Oh, look at that expression. Look at that. Oh boy. I don't know, it's like half annoyed, perplexed. I'm not sure, but I like it. Did you notice I'm going fairly broad here, right? Okay. I'm gonna have to go back to a thinner brush in a minute when I start, adding the cross hatching, whatever I choose to go with, which is most likely going to be cross hatching. Who am I kidding? Do I know anything else? Okay, something like that. Choke. Eyebrow, all right. Got some hair here. There. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with the hair yet. I'm gonna have to deal with it, but I'm not sure how I'm gonna really materialize it with this brush, because obviously it's a pen brush, right? It's an ink bleed. Oh my gosh, I love this brush. Can I express how much I just love how it behaves? This is a brush I'm really familiar with, and I absolutely love it. Thank you, Rick. I'm so glad that you like it. All right. Marcel and Anne, thank you so much again for answering questions for me. I so appreciate you doing that. All right, so I'm staying light. I don't want to make hair become, a caricature, but at the same time, it's there. So I'm trying to materialize it best way I know how, which is tentatively at best. I think this is good for now. There's more here. I hope everybody had a good week. You know what happened to me this week? I got on vacation. The school year is over at my school, and we are now officially off and having absolutely no idea what the fall is going to look like and how you can teach with social distancing when you have classes of 27 students for some. I don't know, it's a mystery, but okay. So I spent enough time on this hair, I think. Ulysse Sky, bonjour de France, bonjour la France. I know that some of you are from Montreal. I think I have a bunch of French speakers here today. It's great. Les francophones sont au rendez-vous et j'adore. Ça me fait plaisir, vraiment ça me fait plaisir. Parce que c'est pas souvent que j'arrive à parler français. C'est pas tous les jours en tout cas. Sauf quand ma famille appelle, que je suis là en direct et que soudain j'ai un coup de fil de ma famille. Mais bon, ça, c'est pas grave. Okay. Yeah, Cynthia, that's exactly what we're looking at in New Jersey also. There's big talk since the televised, what was it? It was yesterday that our governor, Governor Murphy, came on TV and sort of laid out a possible plan for reopening in the fall. And there seem to be several scenarios possible, but I really don't know. Okay, this is still very much like a caricature. Oh yeah, in Belge. Oh my gosh, this is great. That's Anina de la Belgique. J'ai habité à Bruxelles, Bruxelles, pendant 1 an et des poussières. J'ai adoré Bruxelles. Adoré. Okay, lowering the brush size. How about I'm back to 11% of brush size? Okay. Oh, yes, by the way, Andy, I didn't talk about this. Thank you for bringing it up. It looks like a purple tone today. What prompts you in choosing your ink color for each portrait? I don't have a varied palette. This is what I use, guys. And out of this, these are really like my favorite my favorite colors to draw with. And when I draw in pen, I usually will go for dark green like this, or dark brown, or maybe a blue, or in this case, like today, a very dark purple. Why? Because for some reason, I think the pen brushes in Procreate look really cool in different colors. Meaning, even if I stay in monochrome, which is what I'm doing, right? I like it better when it's, a purple or a blue or green or brown. So that's why I chose that. There's really, I wish there was more of a rational reason behind it, but there truly isn't. Okay, the cross hatching has commenced. Ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, there we go. Now, the beauty about these kinds of brushes that respond so well to, speed and pressure is that you can really go to town and have so much fun when you start doing things like cross hatching. Not quite sure how this one is going to behave here, but I'm in a setting that is, small enough that I feel very flexible in what I can achieve with this kind of brush. It's a really nice feeling. Okay, so right now, why don't I do this? Okay, it's a very flat sort of hatching. It just provides a layer, so to say. Um, okay. Oh my gosh, Cynthia, that's impressive. Okay, I'm trying to follow along with your comments as much as I can. But again, if I'm missing something and you guys want to ask me something at the end, please do, okay? It could be that I miss it here as I draw, even though I try to keep track. Yeah, there's some pretty stark shadows in this particular portrait. That's partly why I chose it. I think it's really interesting to be able to, to do some stark contrast like this. Oh, there it is. I'm flipping it now. Okay, it's super dark. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the hatching I did here. Oh well. Could have turned out a little more refined, maybe. Looks like a grid right now. But okay, I'm rolling with the punches, guys. Thank you, Anne, for answering this question over and over. So it's interesting that even though I'm at 11% width on this particular brush, it's still a fairly thick. Wow. Well, Cynthia, that's an amazing narrative. It doesn't look right now, but this is maybe my opportunity to say this yet again. Let it look weird before it looks right, okay? Don't expect things to look great right off, right off the bat. It's not going to work that way. Just let things look weird and work through it slowly but surely by building your details, and you'll see that it's going to emerge as a really successful drawing if you let that happen. I'm going to slide my eraser size to 9% width, and I'm just lightening things up right here a tiny bit. I don't really like how stark I made this right off the bat. You see what I'm doing? I'm just cross-hatching within the cross-hatching with my eraser tool just to lighten things up a little bit. Yep. Okay. All right, Rick, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you stopped by. Awesome. Yeah, take your time, guys. When you tackle something like this, there's a lot of details to work through, and a drawing needs to take the time, to build. Don't rush through things. Okay? There's a lot of contrast here, a lot of dark, right, under Lewis's eye. I don't want to miss that. But this brush is such a pleasure to work with. And more right here. Let me try to get the shape of the nose right, something like this. And now I can start showing the volume of the cheek here, you see? All right. How's everybody doing? Okay? I have to say that even when you use an analog, pen, you can monkey with the pressure, because depending on how much pressure you put on your pen, you're gonna either get a dark mark or something a lot lighter or a lot thinner. And so in that respect, drawing an analog with a big pen, let's say, is not so foreign to this. Okay. Now let's get something out of the way, though. Yes, Procreate is an amazing tool, but I think there are also hours of drawing behind being able to produce a drawing like this without too much struggle, that you can't deny. It's just how it is. I wish what I'm doing right now was all of Procreate's doing. Um, it's not. It's also the hours that I've put in over the years. I'm lowering the width even more. Okay. All right. Let's see. I will have about 25 minutes left. I think I can do this. So now I'm in a very thin setting on my brush, which means that I can just, do the cross-hatching that I'm used to, kind of like that. Okay. Let's see where those spots of light are. There's one here. All right. There's a big spot of light here too. I see one right there. Definitely one here. I don't want to touch too much right there on this cheek or here too much. Definitely not here or here. There's going to be some lightness here too. Just trying to establish where it is that the light hits right there as well, you know. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's try to see if I up the size 14%. Okay, let's try that. I'm gonna get a wider brush, but I'm also gonna be able to move maybe just a little faster, right? Oh, this one really dark, really fast. I'm not a fan. Let's try to lighten things up here. Okay, just a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely going to town on the darker spots. Like for example, you see here, I feel more comfortable darkening this. All right, let's see if I can do this. Not too fast. And I have this whole cheek to deal with, as well as, let's see, a little bit of this ear right there. There too. All right, let's see. Can I start adding? Mm-hmm. What this does again is provide me with a layer of, of lines that I can work on afterwards. It's building slowly. See how I'm not rushing the hatching in any way? I just want to be, deliberate in the lines, but um, without thinking that I can do this, really fast. I can't, especially in these areas, forehead. Things get tricky. And I curve my lines as I go on the curved surface of the forehead, you know. Okay. Yeah, the screen is bright. I apologize for that. This is definitely the camera trying to compensate. It gets really, really bright. Okay. And in fact, if I lower the opacity on my screen, it might get, barely better. But okay. I really like using a broader, brush, setting of brush here, because it allows me to cover ground pretty quickly, and at the same time leave that very, very sketchy feel to the entire thing. I really like that. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, it's not perfect, but when I zoom in a little bit, hopefully you can see a little better, right? I really like this width of brush, so I'm at let's see, 14%. Yeah, it works really well. It does the job. I really enjoy the kind of contrast that we can get from that and still build. Like, let's see here. See, there's a cheekbone here. Can't ignore that, it's here. Again, whenever you think that something like this is not working for you, slow yourself down and see where it is that you're going and how fast you're trying to achieve it. Fast is not the way to go. Take your time, be more deliberate where you want to place your strokes, you know. Okay. Thanks, Andy. I really do love that effect too. I think that you can only get this uh, kind of copper plate effect with a broader stroke like this. And when you find that sweet spot, you know, the spot where the brush is exactly in tune with what you want to do, that's it. I think I found it here. See how I'm curving along with the curve of the face? Okay, let's see. This is a chin right there. And now I'm putting a little bit of pressure on my brush to convey that darker darker area where the the stubble is and where there's less light. Okay, let's see how this mouth is. There's a bit of light here, but the rest is pretty much in the shade here. Do you notice? Right up until there. Interesting, huh? How we can build light. Okay. Sorry, I left the comment on. Okay, trying to follow along with some comments. I think Chris, you're right. Drawings are never finished, only abandoned. Then I have a lot of abandonment issues with my drawings, you know? Okay. Let's see, it's 10 to 1. I think I'm going to be able to finish this. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's amazing the amount of noise pollution that I have going on around me between the air conditioning of the building next door, which is right outside my window, and my windows are poorly insulated, so poorly insulated means for sound as well. My God. And now my fridge just kicked in, so it just goes from one to the other. Okay, guys, look at that. The stuff you can do with just one brush, you know? Just one brush. One layer, one brush. That's it. So, in 30 Faces, 30 Days, coming up on the 1st of July, we're going to have a whole range of possibilities of drawing. You know, Margaret, she's great at color, at, you know, adding just the right amount of color in her drawings. Patrick is, um, you know, like in the tradition of the Belgian comic artists, very much, you know, black and white ink artist. Lisa and Tiffany just go all out with color and beauty. They're really good at drawing women. It seems like much better than I am. And myself and Nadia. My gosh, have you ever seen Nadia's work and how she plays with the contrast between her backgrounds and the subject? It's always fascinating to me how she goes about that. So that's us. Those are the people who are going to be uh, teaching 30 Faces, 30 Days for the month of July. 6 of us, with each of us having a very different approach to, procreate. Me staying with my, my one layer infatuation there and just sort of having to push myself to not use too many tricks and just stay almost as traditional as I can, even though I am using an amazing tool. But I just, I'm not a bells and whistles kind of person. I like keeping it very, um, yeah, I guess traditional. I guess that's the best term I can muster right now. Okay, what do you guys think? You think Lewis is well? Of course, it doesn't show very well where you are, but once I lift it up to the camera, the frontal camera there, you'll see. Okay, let me work on the neck just a tiny bit so that it doesn't look so isolated. There you go, a little bit of shadow here under the neck. Okay, guys, why don't you ask me any questions that I might have missed during this live? If you asked a question and I disregarded it, but not deliberately, just because I was drawing, could you ask it now if you want? That way I can actually not seem rude. Because like, for example, do you have any questions about this upcoming 30 Faces, 30 Days? Like, what is going to happen during those, 30 days of July, where we're going to force you to draw every single day, you know? Like, do you want to know more about this? Do you want to know how essential it is to do this in Procreate? Anything like that, I'm all ears. Let me just finish up these few little lines here that I noticed are darker than I originally thought. So I'm just adding a little bit of value here. There. It's not great, but okay. All right, so this is Lewis. Let me sign. All right, I'm going to put my signature, too close. There we go. And now what I'm going to, I'm going to change the focus, and let me show it to you. Let me show you my Lewis. I think you're going to see it much better with this camera. Okay, what do you think, guys? Without too much reflection? Yeah? How's that? Sorry about the glare. It's almost inevitable. There we go. That's Lewis. Okay. So let me try to answer some of your questions now, okay? Um, okay. So I would love to participate too. I think Anne, this is going to be my opportunity also to perhaps explore the things that I'm obviously not comfortable with. So, for example, for me to sit through Tiffany's class would be really beneficial, or to try to pick up on what Nadia has to teach. Also, obviously, Margaret, what she does with colors. So, I will try my best to also participate. Yeah, that's at least my intention. Let me see if I have any other question that I could answer. How easy would it be to follow July's 30 days if not in Procreate? So, Lucy, obviously, it will be more, the focus will be more on the muse at that point. And you will notice, for instance, that for me, I will be teaching in Procreate, but I will be teaching with tools that very much mimic tools that I use traditionally, for instance, pencil and pen. So for any portrait that we do in 30 faces in 30 days, you can do that in pen or pencil. So same with watercolor. So I would say that you can definitely follow along. Um, That's a very good question, Sharon. You have an iPad Mini 2. Can you go online and type in iPad Mini 2 Apple Pencil support and see if you can download the latest version of iPad OS? And if that's the case, then I would say yes, it supports the Apple Pencil, at least the older generation, because there is no iPad mini that works with the newest Apple Pencil. But the iPad mini that I have, which is right here on the couch, works with the first generation Apple Pencil. But my iPad mini is fairly recent, so you might want to check on that. So do a little bit of a Google search. I do not know all of the specs. Okay. Will canvas size and quality be addressed in the 30 days, 30 faces, 30 days? I would say yes, Jennifer. That's definitely something that we can talk about. You know, when we talk about, okay, supplies for the day, obviously iPad and stylus, but also what would be the best size of canvas to work with? Absolutely, that's something we can address. Yes. I am scared. I cannot control my pencil. How do I take a class in Procreate? Well, that's the whole idea. I think Nikira is the fact that um, we learn exactly that, like how to tame, such a tool that seems so foreign to so many of us. That's perfectly feasible, and that's one of the things that this class is going to teach you is basically how to make this foreign tool yours. Okay, so talk about direction of strokes, please. This is Eman. That's very much what happens when I crosshatch. I usually bring every stroke I make towards me. So I always try to be in a position so that when I crosshatch, the hatches come from away to close, away to close, away to close, always this way. I pull towards me, always. Going away from me, I would not have half of the control that I have when I pull towards me. I hope that answers your question, Iman. Margaret, Patrick, yeah, hey, oh my gosh, are you guys looking forward to 30 Faces, 30 Days? Yay. Okay. So you can do that. Shayla, I have iCloud space. You can definitely delete anything. So what you can do when it's time to export, for example, I save everything as a JPEG, right? Did you notice that you have several options, which is save image? You know what? Let me show you. When it's time to export your file, right? I've just touched export JPEG. You have the option of saving as an image in your photos, but you also have the option to save to files. And save to files means save to the iCloud files. And if you do have a sufficient amount of iCloud space, this is where you want to, organize your files and save, and then you can delete from the iPad. Um, I save them to my files, but I also keep them on my iPad because I think I have 256 gigabytes on this one. Yeah. So Sheila, I hope I answered your question. Fazine, tell me what you mean by how are you editing? Because I don't really edit here. I just go from beginning to end. I don't know if you've noticed, you guys, I didn't use the undo tool too much at all. Um, so by editing, tell me more, Fazine, because I'd like to answer that question better. All right. Would you consider doing a furry animal using cross-hatching only? Ooh. Carol Ann Fisher, that's a good question. I'd like to do that someday. I think it would be great to do a Saturday live like this, whether it's in Procreate or pen or pencil, but of an animal, and yeah, and see how I tackle the fur. Oof. Yeah, I think that would be something to do in the future. So stay tuned; it could happen. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Um, okay, the signature itself, if you go on Google, you're going to find tutorials on how to uh, do a signature with Procreate. This is how I learned. I followed one of their tutorials. And you basically create a brush starting with a drawing, which is the drawing of your signature. It's pretty cool. All right. Okay. So, Anne, you have an iPad Mini 4, and even the Mini 4 does not allow for Apple Pencil um, com compatibility. I didn't know that. Ouch. So I guess it started with the Mini 5? Okay. Alrighty. Um, yes, Cynthia, you can join at any moment. You don't have to do things live. Okay. So Fazine, this is an iPad Pro 12.9 inches, and this is an Apple Pencil second generation, which is the best compatible stylus, in my opinion, for this kind of tool. Okay, so guys, okay. All right, I think I'm gonna sign off because, Fazine, I'm trying to answer your questions. I'm trying. I'm trying very hard. And the app is called Procreate. Okay, everyone. Thank you, Andy, for answering this question for me. Okay. All right. All right, so very cool. I hope that you guys can join in a couple of days, 3 days. And wow, I'm kind of blown away by the fact that the Apple Pencil first generation doesn't have any compatibility with anything older than an iPad mini. Okay, everyone, it's time for me to sign off. It's 1:10. We've been together for about 70 minutes. It's been good. And I hope you guys can make it to 30 Faces, 30 Days. And Patrick, Margaret, who are here today, I will see you during this amazing month that we have coming up. It's going to be intense. It's going to be so intense. I'm so looking forward to it. Let's head over to the group in Sketchy Art School called 30 called Drawing with France, and this group is free. You join and you post what you did today. So please um, do that. That would be really amazing to see what you've done today if you drew along. And maybe if you watch this later, we'll see. Okay, so I'm heading over to the group Drawing with France in Sketchy Art School now. I'm going to post this. All right, everyone. I'll see you next week. But most of all, July 1st, 30 Faces, 30 Days. Please join if you haven't. Okay, bye, everyone. Bisous, besos, abrazos. Okay, ciao, everyone. I'm signing off now. Bye.